Welcome to the Humans of Hospitality podcast trailer, where I just wanted to spend a couple of minutes explaining to you the concept of what this weekly podcast is all about. Now, I know you can probably remember perhaps a lovely candlelit dinner where you shared a delicious meal with your friends, or perhaps you remember walking into a lovely bar or restaurant and you could hear the clinking of glasses, perhaps the crackling of a wood fire, and the atmosphere as a guy behind the bar started to serve you a lovely pint of beautiful real ale. Or maybe you remember sinking down into a really cozy, comfy sofa in a beautiful boutique hotel somewhere on this awesome planet Earth. And all of these vivid memories are fundamentally brought to you by the Humans of Hospitality. They're the amazing behind-the-scenes chefs or bakers, or the farmers, or the brewers, or the hoteliers, the designers, the restaurateurs, and the entrepreneurs. And these people who fundamentally make you feel welcome every single day for a living. And as a result, they make our lives richer. This podcast is all about celebrating and sharing their stories. So you may well ask, why on earth do you care? Why do I travel around the country finding these incredible stories for you? Well, my love for the world of hospitality and food and drink and all of these shared stories goes back to when I was traveling around Asia, Australasia and the Caribbean many, many years ago. I was soaking up all these three-dimensional richness, the sounds, the colours and the tastes of different villages and towns and these incredible global cultures. And although I didn't realise it at the time, that's why I ended up opening my own hotel and restaurant, so that the sharing of good food and drink and stories could carry on around me on a day-to-day basis. And in the last few years, I've started to get really nervous. I've started to get nervous about the big brands with their huge corporate budgets, making our wonderfully diverse and rich world of hospitality formulaic and dull. They've got the same repetitive concepts on every single street corner. And that genuinely really scares me. So that's why I want the voices of all of these brilliant humans of hospitality rather than the brands of hospitality to be heard. Hence, the Humans of Hospitality podcast was born. So whether you're just interested in traveling and food and drink, and basically, who in the world isn't? Or perhaps you work in hospitality, or maybe you want to work in this incredible industry, these are the stories for you. Stories about mouth-watering dishes and drinks. Stories about ingredients that inspire producers like Steve Farrell at H. Arch Brewery every single day.
There is something like you mentioned about coming in on a cold, stormy day and smelling that coffee and the chocolate from the malt. It's amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Good. Stories about why people go into the food and drink industry in the first place, like Jimmy from Jimmy's Iced Coffee.
It was actually just seeing one of these old dudes bend over and just seeing the full builder's bum on show, and I just kind of thought, well, my whole life just flashed before my eyes. I'm just kind of slow clapping myself going, Jim, congratulations, man.
Or maybe stories about where businesses manage to grow, like Joe Lovett's home for Bad Hands Coffee, a derelict warehouse.
It took us, I think, 8 to 12 weeks just to empty it, just loading skips, 30 tons we ripped out of just junk, not even, and I'm good at salvaging fun stuff. I don't think I even filled a bucket with anything that was worth keeping.
Then there are the lows, like Ollie Perrin's frenetic beginnings at Lunched.
Any more than 10 lunches in the kitchen is kind of chaotic. I was doing about 65 lunches a day, and it was carnage.
But there are lots of highs too. David Sachs at Mason Sachs.
It's just ingrained in you, and I love it. I love being in the kitchen. I love watching those boys. It's like you're performing on a stage, or 8 o'clock on a Saturday night when everyone's on their game. It's fantastic. And you go out into your packed restaurant and you see smiling people, and people want to talk to you and tell you what a great time they're having. That's why we do it.
So my hopes for this podcast are that when you hear these incredible stories, and I've already got quite a few that will make you laugh out loud or maybe gasp in amazement, that you get this inspiring insight into the courage and the creativity of the incredible people that make all of our lives richer with these lasting memories through warm welcomes, great food and drink, and shared stories. And in celebrating their stories, I really, really hope we can tip the balance back in the favour of the little guy, the wonderful humans, rather than the big anonymous brands run by boards of director, maybe in the city. Because where we spend our money every single day genuinely makes a difference to the kind of world we live in. So let's at least make that world interesting. And finally, if you're looking at our logo and wondering what on earth a pineapple is doing in it, that plant means a lot to me because it's a story that's linked to hospitality. It's been a symbol of hospitality for hundreds of years, since the captains of the ships used to be travelling the seas on their global adventures, and they would see these incredibly kind of shaped exotic fruits, and they would bring these pineapples home on the ships, and it became a tradition that when they got back to their village, they would stake a pineapple into their front door. The doors were wooden at the time, and there would be this big shining kind of symbol of, come on into my house. I've been away for a few months, but I've got great stories. I've got great booze. I've got great food. My family, my friends, my fellow villagers, I want you to come through the door and enjoy some great stories. So over the next few hundred years, you start to see pineapples carved into wood on bedsteads, maybe on signs outside inns. You'll see it in the reception areas of hotels, or you might even see it on the labels of various bottles of drink. So I want to carry on that journey. I want to carry on that story of the pineapple. I want to carry on sharing stories as I travel further and further afield. So that's it. As I said, I'm Mark Cribb. This is the Humans of Hospitality podcast. You can hear all of these stories on iTunes and Spotify and any kind of podcast player of your choice. And you can also join the community and join in the conversation at humansofhospitality.co.uk. Come on in and enjoy the conversation.